approval to advance.
Well,
I just want to say it right.
so the meeting minutes and the financials require a vote.
Yes.
The other two do not require a vote. They only require that you be able to say that you saw it.
Okay, so I don't have to ask for a vote to
No.
advance them. To advance.
There's no reason for it.
I just want to say it right.
So the meeting minutes and the financials require a vote.
Yes.
The other two do not require a vote. They only require that you be able to say that you meant it.
Okay, so I don't have to ask for a vote to advance them.
Vote. Only the reason for it is like.
I just want to say it right.
So the meeting minutes and the financials require a vote.
Yeah.
The other two do not require.
Okay.
It's not a resolution. Not.
Okay, so I don't have to ask for a vote to advance them.
Passing it. It's not that has to be validated before it can be approved by the board. And it doesn't require a vote. This requires, all you're saying is, we saw this and we recommend it.
So in the conversation next week, that would be my statement in terms of the report, that we have recommended it after review. So I'll call it to order. We do have a quorum, correct? Correct. It is 4:20 for everybody's patience. The first thing I would ask is for an approval of the November 12th meeting minutes, which have been included in our package. I'll make a motion. I'll second. Any discussion on that? If none, I would ask for a vote. Say aye in favor. Aye. Aye. All opposed, abstained, the motion has carried. I would ask, I think we should look at the November 24 financials, which are also in your package, and which, before we go to an approval of that, let's have a conversation. If there's any questions or anything of that nature. Jim or Diana, would you like to take us through these, please?
Yes, sure. So the financials for November, not very eventful. We have a fund balance of 1,035,000. We have a T-bill that matured. We have a T-bill that matured in November and had gains of about 1,400. And that dumped into the money market. The money market is, the rate on the money market is as good or better than the T-bills right now. We had one that matured 1205 and we did the same thing. So, and that's.
You're not going to reinvest it this time.
No.
We'll bring anything to you if we anticipate.
Cash is good. Accounts receivable, we're owed money from the account principal for the second half of this year. And Warren County is added up. So I'm talking about
That Queensbury money is not going to come in by years end.
Of course, but it has been approved. Right.
Yes, yeah, so we'll just have to go through the process of when if we receive it next year, making sure that it's reflected in our year's financial.
When we receive the money, it's gonna book.
Are we charging our fee for to come to the holiday parties? No. Donations requested.
We wanted people to focus their
Donation.
money on stuff they're big brothers.
Okay.
Accounts payable, there's nothing very remarkable there. I guess while we're just chatting, in the accounts payable, there is this accounts payable that bothers Dr. Duffy. The Adirondack Regional Business Incubator. There was a journal entry that took place in 2016, and it won't clear, it won't ever clear because the journal entry didn't. You might know this better. They put a journal entry against the accounts receivable, and so they zeroed out. But
it's still in your subsidiary level.
yeah,
Can't you do an entry to the same account as if it's?
I've tried. a
So
couple of
you have to
different
do,
It's a QuickBooks thing.
you have to do a credit to the accounts receivable and a journal entry to opposite that on the same day you do it, like on January 1st or whatever day you do it. Then you're going to apply the actual invoice to the actual journal entry. You're going to click the two journal entries, should be able to clear each other. And then you should be able to put the credit against the other invoice. Start with the journal entries because QuickBooks was going to change that. And I don't know which version you're in, so you may not be able to to clear out the journal entries against the journals. And it is a definite flaw in QuickBooks. I've got clients that have stuff going back 20 years that you can't clear out because of the way they put it.
So there's no way this isn't as simple as altering the chart and just removing. You like to actually. Alter the chart.
They won't let you take out something that
can't.
has a balance
The history.
because it'll screw up the balance sheet.
I'm not.
That's annoying.
I thought it didn't have a balance though.
So it has no balance.
No, there's-
So why
But
don't you
there's an invoice and a journal entry, and you cannot pick, you might be able to open the invoice and try apply credits.
That's not gonna be something.
No,
because it's already out there. So this is just taking it out of subsidiary, making it go to
you
zero.
might have to, if it gives you a date, you might have to date it today's date if you don't want to have it go back against the years. But I don't think it will. I think it's because you should have that lock the prior years. It shouldn't let you do anything in a prior year. Applying it should just make it close itself out, but you have to do it from the invoice. And depending on what time it is when we're done, we can go look at it.
Okay. I'm-
Sounds
It's
like
annoying.
It is annoying, but I've got people that have some whopping crazy stuff up there that you can't get rid of.
Okay, well, I'm glad I asked.
You can
and-
actually make, what you can do is you can make a vendor called clearing. So instead of saying incubator, wherever the people are, it'll say clearing account 0 balance. But again, it's semantics.
Okay, I have to be in QuickBooks now. Think about that.
Thank you for sharing that. So we can help you if possible.
Generally, we are tracking for a budget right now. Which number is quite low. Or a little bit lower, we'll go by 4,000.
So in comparison to the budget. For this past month, or for actually even year to date is. Good, very good.
We're ahead of our budget. so-
Yes.
Um,
Wasn't this the third year? For the fund balance or not?
no,
No, this was. Yeah.
So, should we approve this, or is this just something we're forwarding to the board?
no, you approve the financials.
So I'll make a motion that we approve the monthly financial report for November 2024 as presented.
Second,
Any discussion? If there's none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, motion carries. Thank you for the details there.
So next, I think these are easier to look at than the ones that are in the packet.
the bigger print.
Thank you.
He included,
They're almost impossible to read.
I know I blow them up on this one.
I do too.
well, I thought that would be okay when I sent them out to you. but,
No, it's fine.
So we did not approve this
Thank
at
you.
the last meeting.
Right.
At the last board meeting, and so because it's a whole other month, I changed the projection to reflect the extra month. In terms of 2024. But the recast itself is the same. The recast, so the recast for 2025 has not changed, but the projection for 2024 has. And if you want details of the projection, that's the tabloids.
Did you get this posted on Paris already? Or
No, well, so the approved, this one is posted on Paris. The recast will not be posted on Paris.
Okay.
So the bulk of that's the income that we lost from the town of Queensbury, the 50,000 that fell out there is what's falling to the bottom line.
Shouldn't be,
What's the negative 23,000 for projected 24?
oh, negative 23,000. Yeah, well, that's, no, that
I'm not
500 and,
Queensbury, I'm sorry, Warren County, the contract reference.
but you're talking about the projection. Not the recast 2025, you're talking about 2024,
Right.
correct? So these are the details of that.
Right, but I'm saying originally. Oh, the actual is not, okay, I'm sorry, that's what I was confused about. So the actual is not in a deficit, no. The actual is not in a deficit position. The actual is as a break even or a little of income. As opposed to what the draft was. Is that what I'm reading?
The draft is, we're projecting, why is that? What is the 23?
You're projecting 26,000 in in revenue for the year to date. I mean,
On
actually, year
one,
to date.
but then the other one, oh, so the other one is to the end of the year, so that means you're
Yeah.
expecting a $50,000 swing in something in December. Expenses in
Yeah,
December.
that's Warren County, obviously. No, wait a minute.
No, that
A
can't be
swing-
revenue, because all the
No,
revenue,
no,
so
no,
it's
no,
gotta
it's
be,
already
oh, you know, it's the month, it's the expenses for the month of December. That's what's doing it, because you have no more revenue coming in.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry, I wasn't
Oh, I should have
following
had an answer to that question. I'm really sorry.
this one versus that one, I was,
Yes,
Can you please remind me why the city of Glens Falls is down 10?
We budgeted them for 20,
And they didn't agree to it?
no,
What were they before that, 10?
we had some conversation with both Jeff and Mary about taking on these next week.
okay, yes, yes. Do you follow?
yes, is Queensbury back on for next year, the 114, give or take, because it's.
We've already approved the full amount from their fiscal year is July 1st. That's in their budget for 2024, 2025. The full amount already. But it's keeping them from doing it is the lack of an execution. Which they want that to be a 3-year agreement. We've had a whole separate conversation about that. And my suggestion has been that we, well, and that we, I mean, it's in legal review, but we also not try to get this done by year end.
Yeah, you can't.
I don't think a sense of urgency helps us in any negotiation. So we've already essentially made the assumption that this won't get resolved until.
You're fine,
But
your
it's no
revenue's
longer a
okay
question.
until June 30th. The revenue's okay till June.
We're delivering the services and they've approved the funding. So this is a issue of having a contract and have a payment.
Okay.
And by the way, that is not without precedent. With both the county and Queensbury, we've oftentimes had situations where we were, for the county, we went 9 months, 1 year without, where we were simply holding the accounts payable all that time. While the contract was cheaper.
I've just had 2 separate people tell me that Queensbury was starting their own EDC and they weren't backing us and they weren't gonna pay us. So that's why I was curious. I was making sure
John,
that was.
John has said that he wants to start his own EDC in a cavalier way. Doesn't have a support of the board, and he just approved, the Queensbury board approved unanimously for payment for us.
Okay, that's what I was checking because I was just making sure that that
Well-
wasn't.
It's been in the paper that that's what he wanted, but it hasn't done. So I don't, if it is gonna go forward, it hasn't gone forward.
What is his term of?
It's coming.
I just was curious because in a matter of days, I've had 2 different people say that to me and I'm like. So I just was like, oh, okay, and then you said it's been approved and I wasn't sure of the timing on.
It's been in the paper a couple of weeks, so there's some new conversation going on.
Oh, I'm just catching up with a lot of clients right now. I've been bouncing around like a pinball. to different people's
It
offices.
was a very, it was the vernacular that he was pushing about a month ago. I've had no dialogue with him in several weeks. I don't believe that, it hasn't come up in the town proceedings either. And
I saw him about 2 weeks ago and he didn't say anything.
Yeah, he was at our last meeting, I was sort of. Insisting on this, or not the meeting, the strategic.
we had some input along the thing.
No, I was just clarifying that something hadn't changed since what I knew about having been gone more than half the last 2 months.
So you want me to walk you guys through the small notes that can carry over?
We read them when you
Yeah.
sent us.
Okay.
It's okay.
There's nothing there.
Yeah, majority of it is that the revenue's already in, as noted, or said, and there, you still have months worth of expenses is what the big changes.
It does not need to be approved, but you're gonna bring this to the board meeting too, or?
Yeah,
Okay.
it actually doesn't even really need to be approved by the
Yeah.
board either. It's really just.
We've already approved the financials. The recast of the budget is actually the budget for 25.
That's what I'm going to put into the books. As.
Okay, but
the- for
you
our-
want us to push
That
it
needs to
forward
be
to,
approved.
and that's this one, that's not this one.
What's this one? Yeah. So that's this column, right? So we added Emily, that's kind of probably the biggest change.
And she's in contracts versus salaries.
No, she's salary.
The contracts went up by,
So the contracts for 2024, so I'm talking about 2025. For 2024, the difference in marketing was two. One was Bree was paid as a contract at a marketing. And then we opted to move many of the annual luncheon.
what we approved in the budget versus what's recast for 2025.
$21,000 increase.
In that.
Right, so
and
that's the ARPA funds that we pushed into 2025. It's 26,000. That's what.
No, we're asking about expenses
Expenses,
under contractors,
Yeah, that's, well, so,
the
the
revenue.
purple line.
Oh, so you're saying there
Yeah,
was
yeah.
no revenue, so you mirrored the expenses to
Yes,
coincide with
to,
that.
to match the
That's
grant.
how, we've
That's
already
fine.
got the commitment against it. It's just gonna be executed in 2020.
Sure. So that nets to generally, net income.
And so the $20,000 increase in salary is for the marketing person,
Emily?
Emily, but that didn't come out of contracts?
No, because she came out of salaries.
Well,
That's the extra 20,000.
but we obviously must have had that position budgeted for in contracts originally, no?
No, we had
No.
budgeted for in personnel, but we used her as a contractor. For department. Three.
Great, yeah.
Yes, so the 111 has her in there. The
Right.
111 under the projected.
And it
number.
went down to 76. I assumed that was because we bumped the salary up, because the salary goes up from 369 to 408. I know part of that's the budgeted annual increases. But if it's coming out of one expense and going into another expense, we shouldn't be seeing two lines going up.
Going up, one should go down.
One should be going down. That's what I'm not following. I mean, I get that we increased our membership sponsor thing to cover the change, but I'm not following how both of them went up from the original budget, because weren't our initial expenses for salary.
What's the second line that you're saying is going up?
Wages went up and contractors went up.
The
Each
contracting is going up because there's a proposal that wasn't in the original budget. Spend the ARPA funds for $26,000, which will be executed in 2025.
So that
Okay.
aligns with the 26,660.
that part I get, so,
Okay.
but if Bree had been taken out of the
So-
contracts in the 76, or marketing had been taken out of the contracts in the 76 number, when it went from 111 to 76, she should have been picked up in the 408 salary.
I'm not, so in the
If she went
70,
from an independent contractor. You put her into the salary. We didn't end the services. We just changed how we were classifying.
no,
it.
so Bree was gone by the time I made this budget, this 408. Bree was not with us. In fact, she might have still been included in the contractor.
Bree
some
was
extent.
never employed.
No, I understand.
But what happened, when the first version of 2025 was made, we did not have, Emily. So Emily is the 20,000 that we're seeing projected.
But we didn't have a marketing budget in our contractors
No.
without the salary. So we weren't planning on doing any marketing when we projected the budget. It had to have been in contracts or it had to have been in salaries.
Well,
Or we had to
Emily's
get
more
the-
than 20. So she would have, this is only
Oh, I
the
said
partial,
partial part-time.
She was part-time.
but she's not 20 a year.
No,
No.
it's about 30.
Not much more.
So anyway, I just didn't understand the shift. I get the 26 and the 26, that's clear. But I would have assumed that the marketing had been budgeted in Paris in either one or the other. And that's why I just assumed that you were transferring the initial budget, maybe with an increase. But I would have assumed an independent contractor would have been as much as payroll, because they usually have a higher rate because they don't have payroll.
Mhm.
It's fine.
Well, I don't. Off the top of my head. I'm not answering that question.
But we need to find it out.
I can answer. I can see.
It's not. No. In our budget, it's not material, so I'm
Yeah.
not stopping the vote or the recommendation on the budget. From a logic perspective, my brain wasn't connecting the dots.
And the one other, no, I think that's it, because these, obviously, these
Oh,
go to
Shit.
zero.
no, I'm sorry. That's moving out of, that is moving. What was budgeted for events down into marketing?
Yeah. we made
That's
the
what
dec-
that is.
So we made a decision that, the annual luncheon
Luncheon is a
be
marketing,
seen as a marketing expense, and in prior years' budgets, it had always been tracked as an event expense and an event revenue.
So what line is that that's marketing?
contract.
We
But
should-
That was 11,000 according to your notes.
Think $11,000 net loss.
So there's 21,000 on the
So that's the
website.
credit.
No, wait. Yeah, I can't follow the different
Don't you have it?
lines. No, I've got it, but I've read it. This one has the words written that I read
Yeah.
on the sides. So.
Oh.
The 21,000 in
Or-
marketing appears to be related to the additional website.
No, they don't correspond. That website was just for this year.
So I misunderstood it. Sorry. I guess I'm lost in what the pages are saying at this point, so,
Um,
and I did spend some time trying to follow that, but.
and run upstairs because I live from home today and prints out.
Not necessarily, to say it's,
Send it out to us. We don't, it won't hold up any kind of moving it to the next.
yeah, it's just more of my own edification than it is. I'm sure there's a logical reason for it, Mike, but I'm not following with, when you get it. And this is, I'm not disagreeing with how this is presented. I like this format for the overall
Yeah.
Mhm.
situation.
Detail.
Right, but it would have been helpful to have this literally passed as well.
Yeah, I just can't tell when you're shifting after we already had that length of discussion, that's all. But it's not.
It's gonna come to me as soon as the meeting ends, I'm sure.
So it's fair to say that we agree that we will pass this on to the board. And it'll be noted at the, as part of our minutes.
We'll make sure that we get away,
Moving on to the review of the revised policies. Obviously, we'll start with. We have 17, 19, 20, and 21, 4 of them.
17, 19, 20, and 21.
Yep, those are the ones in here. So we're not missing 18, correct? That wasn't, okay.
I think, they had sent it to us previously, but it's already been approved in some. The government's process along. There are no material changes in here.
Yeah.
All the changes are. to do
They're
with-
just
yeah.
verbiage,
Titles, yeah.
verbiage, definitely.
The only, and I've gone through all, and I'm fine with everything that you're recommending. The only thing is to change the reaffirmed date, obviously,
Yeah.
once you're reaffirmed by the full board. But I also think, and maybe you want to add a note, or maybe not, but I do think that at least when you present it to the full board, I would reference whether or not you've gone on the ABO website and that the policies are consistent with what they recommend.
Mhm.
The language, I would at least
And-
add a note or,
Okay.
yeah, or at least you put it in your minutes when you do the cooking. And say that you've gone through the correct, whatever the correct, what.
But they're actually fine, but
They were,
ABO.
yeah, yes, yeah. Is it ABO or is it?
It's ABO.
It's ABO. When it's their website, it's basically the control of.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So that's 17, or that's minor, 8,
I
19,
think we can
that's
say the
minor.
same thing for all of them.
The only thing I have a question on the bank statement reconciliation policy. Because I know in a small organization, I deal with this myself. You have to be careful about, there's only enough bodies to do control items, but you have control of the bank account. Do you have transferability within it? Just within your bank accounts, or can you transfer
I can
outside the bank?
only transfer between them.
Okay, so you don't have the ability to go in and ACH something someplace.
No,
No, that's
we'd have to initiate that kind of feature to our
Okay,
account and. there
that would
be a fee
take
for that.
board approval.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is more of a protection actually for you, that somebody else, that you don't have access to make any moves with cash because you control the reporting of it. And the review, obviously, by Jim.
So add a line that affirms that.
Yeah, that you do not have access, you have review access and transfer within accounts at the existing institution, but you do not have the ability to move money outside the bank, which is in the control of the CEO and the board as necessary.
Well,
There's probably
no,
some better way to
honestly,
say that.
Nobody can right now because we don't have that.
Well, we have two-person.
I was gonna say dual signatures. So
Yeah,
signature no matter
that
what.
takes care of that, yeah. It was really more to be able to go in online and do something. And as long as you just review and within transfer, then I think you're fine.
Well,
No
that's,
external movement.
the reality is that's defeated by going into the vendor website and making a payment with your bank account, so. They're never,
But I don't think we do that, we only,
but is
We
it
only
allowed
sign-
if you went out and say you owe WDR money, which you don't because you're not our client. And you went on and paid it with the ACH from the bank account, you know, when you get on there, you have a choice of your bank account, a credit card.
Mhm.
Whatever. If that's not blocked, if your ACH payments aren't blocked, people can ACH your account through that bill pay mechanism.
If they work together.
But you're saying that I have access to it.
If you pay a bill online, National Grid
but we don't pay them online, don't we, we always cut a check.
Yeah,
we do cut checks. I'm
Yeah.
saying what you're saying,
Yeah.
she can't do it through Glens Falls National. But she could go to National Grid and accomplish the same thing.
Not if we say Glens Falls National, none of
That's
those
what
are
I'm
allowed.
saying. They have to block those.
They have to
That
block
could
that.
present other
Although they have to
problems.
approve that it'll happen, you have to tell them it's gonna be.
Right, you have to block
Like,
it.
we have Posi Pay, which is the only way it goes out is if we send them a list that says this vendor, this date, this amount.
we have this also.
Yeah, Posi
We
Pay,
have two. We have the positive pay, we have the check.
so I don't know if it requires it, I think that it's really protection for you, that there's a clarity.
Mhm.
That you can't do anything except without the board's approval that goes outside. And I don't know if you have any ideas for.
So I'm thinking of the bill pay thing, so, because you can issue like checks directly out of your, through,
You tell the
Glens Falls
National Grid to
National.
debit your account.
oh, we have, so there is we have a debit card policy which should not get removed.
But that's not a debit card. That's not you swiping your card.
But the
This is-
debit card has automatic transactions that are pulled from
Well, that's a credit
subscription.
card. It should be.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be,
That's
that's
not
not
the
your main,
bank account.
main bank account where we have all this money parked.
Yeah. Correct.
So, I mean, if somebody were to hack you. And they managed to accomplish it, or they had your account information, they tried to go on and ACH it, you're gonna have to be checking that bank every day. If that block isn't.
Right, and that block is, we do have an AC.
Why are we removing Megan Williams from?
Because A, she's no longer there and we decided to make it. But it
Yeah.
dinner. She's still with the bank. So we-
Or, so we don't need
Maybe
to.
so.
Yeah. Didn't we use some of our money for the bank? Didn't we? Don't we have more than- or was it all-
The T-bills, like the money we moved 250,000 originally to the bank for investment.
Okay.
So that's where our money's sitting.
And so the money markets are.
We have a money market with Glens Falls also. But we're just,
So that, I guess that would require a little bit more detail on here. And then we would,
You know what it is that you need to approve?
I'm gonna add lines that affirm that the Director of Finance has review access and internal transfer access to review and internal transfer only exclusively. No external movement of funds. can
Except-
be,
by the CEO and,
Should be seen.
No, if there's no movement of funds,
without board approval.
well, we have a dual signature, I think it's.
Yeah, I think consistent with the rule signature.
It should
Yeah,
be
that's what I'd
consistent.
say. That's the only movement.
The funds can be made without. Two-person.
Without the, yeah, whatever they call it, whatever their requirement, whatever their language is on that. That's
Yeah.
it, that's protecting you.
It really is. That's the reason I say that. And anybody who comes in to help you, it should not, because you have your hands in everything, you should not be the one that can move cash on the funds.
Yeah, because normally when you do internal controls, the bank reconciliation is not performed by the person doing the books, the day-to-day books. And you don't have the luxury of shifting that responsibility.
Although I
all
do
the-
review every month.
Yeah, he signs.
When you
off
see
on
the
all.
bank statements and the check signatures to make sure that they're all,
And there's a record of them.
Good.
I'm sure.
Because in here, it makes it sound like you only look for large transactions,
Yeah.
but that's not, this is a controlled process.
I review everything.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Pay on.
I'd say to get rid of the large dollar, you review every transaction.
Oh, on reconciliation for the EDC president to review.
Transactions
All
and the
transactions.
cleared checks.
and cancel checks. Yeah.
Yeah,
Transaction, okay,
Next.
But you see, when we teach internal control, usually the person's responsible for verifying all this, scanning down the signatures and making sure they, in our case, it'll be two signatures, and is it two of the people that have the right to sign the checks? And it takes seconds because you know the signatures, but what'll stand out like a sore thumb? I love when I get those and they actually clear the bank with no signature plus, which usually happens
yeah, I'm sure.
on a somewhat regular basis.
Someplace I worked had someone who, cashed a check twice. Cashed the check and photocopied the check. Through one of those machines, you know, they have those like. What is it really?
yeah, you, banks like, you're out of luck. That's why Posi Pay is so important. If someone duplicates a check, you're done. You're out,
Yeah, well, I think we ended up.
unless you have this Posi Pay.
Okay, so I'm going to the next revision is. Director of Finance reconciles all accounts in QuickBooks and presents the printed statements and corresponding reconciliation reports to the EDC President CEO. To review all transactions and clear checks for inconsistencies. If in order, the president signs. If in order, right, the president signs his approval and returns them to the financial director. Yeah, that actually. Returns them to the director of finance. So do you want to approve it? I'll make those changes. Do you want to approve it?
Subject to
Jerry,
revisions.
yeah.
Subject to those documents.
Yep. Any revisions for the last one, cash discussion?
I don't.
And then we'll get into the.
Okay, staff should protect it otherwise.
I was gonna say, cash is something you don't want to scrimp on your
Yeah.
policy. Those need to be pretty
That's
clear
good.
where it comes to that.
And our recommendation is that you just bring it forward to the full board. We don't have to.
Thank you.
Move that change.
Is there any other business? I can move up forward. Next board meeting is December 17th. That's regular, there's a full board. Next audit committee is January 14th. And if there is no further information required, Jim, would you like to say anything more? Or are we good? I'll call for a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second, and no discussion, all in favor? Aye. Thank you. Where did these cookies come from? They are amazing.
Our lawyer sent them.
Did you see?